Well, good morning from New York. Good morning to Anisha, who's on the West Coast. So it's bright and early her time. I am Cate Luzio, founder and CEO of Luminary and host of Goaldigger on LinkedIn Live. We normally do this at 9:30 in the morning Eastern, but since Anisha was on the West Coast and we did not want to have her wake up at god-awful hour early morning hours, we're doing this a little bit later. But before we go into a phenomenal discussion with a phenomenal leader, we're going to share a video, which is a little bit new for us, but it's really important to set the stage around what we're going to talk about and what Anisha's doing and the great work. So we are going to play a quick video.
For women, 2020 wasn't just a setback. It was a revelation.
There's too many of you crying. Oh, brother. There's far too many of you dying.
Why? Because even with all of the progress we've made, we're still more likely to earn less than our male counterparts, and still called on to be caregivers first, putting us at risk of having 25 years of progress wiped out, just like that. But the truth is, we keep rising.
Oh, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Tell me what's going on. What's going on?
Because we've come too far to only come this far. Together, we are unstoppable. And together, we will get our friends and sisters back into the workforce. Because you know what's really going on? We are.
Wow.
I still tear up when I see it, and I've seen it thousands of times.
Well, you've seen it 1,000 times. I've seen it, I don't know how many times since it came out this week, and it's remarkable. And we're going to get right into why this is so important and why we're talking about the She Session. But before we get to that, I want to step a little back and have you talk a little bit about your journey. And I should have mentioned this, so we have, and I did in the beginning, but Anisha Raghavan, who is the CMO of the Global Brands Americas for the Walgreens Boots Alliance, and currently zooming in from the West Coast. But Anisha, tell us a little bit about your journey, what led you to this role, and some of your background for our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start with what this role is. So people who don't know, Walgreens Boots Alliance is the combination, the merger of Walgreens here in the US and Boots in the UK. So you guys all know Walgreens probably, but in the UK, Boots is an iconic retailer there. And these two companies merged 5 years ago. And within the company, there's a CPG beauty company that has about 10 beauty brands, and that's where my role comes in. And so we're going to talk about number 7 and Unstoppable together, but number 7 is one of those beauty brands. So that's my current role. And my journey, I started my career in advertising in New York City at Gray Worldwide, part of the W network. And when I was in college, I was fascinated by marketing. I had first interned in finance, which I liked, but when I picked up a marketing textbook, I was just enthralled. And so chased that dream and then went to business school. And after business school, joined Unilever. So I was there for a number of years, working on some really great brands. And then I had always been interested in digital media and new media and all the things, social media, et cetera, that was really in its infancy at that time. And so I left to go to Strivectin, which is a prestige skincare company, private equity backed, to build up their digital and social practices from scratch, which I loved. And since then, I've sort of gone back and forth between brand marketing and digital marketing, big companies and small companies. And that's how I ended up on the West Coast. And now I'm going to be moving back to New York eventually for this role once we're all back in an office.
So you have really throughout your career worked at some pretty amazing organizations, now at another. What, as you moved around, and I think it's important for the audience who's listening, watching, and will watch later as we then post this again, what were the sort of catalysts in order for you to move? Like what were they opportunities? Was it money? Was it location?
So the first catalyst getting into advertising, it had always been my dream, but in college, my college was very finance and consulting dominated. And so the offers that were coming in during the school year were all for those industries. And everyone was signing an offer by December, marketing recruits on an as-need basis, and I felt this pressure. And so I signed an offer that actually was in advertising. It was the closest to it, but not marketing at all. I was supposed to be an analyst at retail. And I graduated in 2001. In 2001, the recession was going on, and this company rescinded all the offers across the U.S. And so I lost my job before I even started it. And I understand the feelings around losing your job, especially at that young of an age. But I was really encouraged by my family. I was encouraged by my teachers and professors in college. And I started networking with the alumni database of my college. And, it sort of snowballed as I was having these conversations and really trying to learn about the advertising industry. I kept asking each person at the end of the conversation, who else do you know that could connect me within ad agencies in New York? And slowly I got to contact ad agencies in New York. And I was getting ready to move out there to start interviewing. And then 9/11 happened. And my parents were like, you're not moving to New York. And I'm like, I'm absolutely moving to New York still. So 2 weeks after 9/11, I still moved to New York despite the enormous tragedy, and pounded the pavement. And within a month, I was working at Gray Worldwide. So I think that first catalyst was because it was a blessing in disguise that I lost my job. It allowed me to, okay, I'm going to pursue my dream because I was so passionate, really following what my internal gut was telling me I wanted to do.
Yeah.
It didn't stop me when these sort of obstacles came about. And so I pounded the pavement probably more than I would have if I was doing a job that I wasn't as passionate about, going after a job.
So you, go ahead, sorry. No. So I was going to say, so as you just, you really, truly do know what it feels like to have a role, then it's yanked out from under you, right? Before you even get started, and then getting back to pounding the pavement around, and taking a big risk, especially in your parents' eyes, of moving to a place who had just suffered an unspeakable tragedy, right? Who knows what was going to happen? But you did it.
Yeah. And I mean, to your point, like right now is a really tough time. There are millions of people out of a job, and it's disheartening and it's exhausting. And yeah, I know what that feels like, not only from that experience, but I've got friends and relatives in this moment who are, struggling to find a job. And so, yeah, I mean, that resilience is so important, and we will get through this. And, there's a lot of lessons learned along the way, but we'll get through.
So why was this, we saw this in June, July, with a lot of brands sort of coming out around Black Lives Matter and putting big dollars around whether it was a check or a campaign, and then, what then happened. Why is this so important to a brand like the Walgreen Boots Alliance, but more importantly to Number 7?
Yeah, so Number 7, for those who don't know, it's a beauty brand that it's known for quality cosmetics and skincare. And it's #1 in the UK, so quite iconic out there. But it has always also had this mission of being the ally to unstoppable women. And so in the UK, for its 85-year history, it stood by women in tough moments, or for example, women who have faced cancer. And that mission is alive and well. And in the US, we're a newer brand. And Number 7 was wanting to bring this mission to life in the US. And at the same time, internally, we were reading these facts about the she section and the disproportionate impact that COVID-19 has had on women's jobs. And like this is one of the biggest issues women are facing today. It has to be the thing we tackle as we bring our mission to life in the US.
So I don't know if you know this. So prior to starting Luminary, I was a banker for 20 years, and 7 of those years I spent in London, and I'm a diehard Boots fan, but also number 7 fan. So when I moved there in 2008, I remember walking into the Boots for the first time. I was like, what is this brand? And everybody was raving about it, all of my British friends. And now you have a lifelong friend in me.
We crossed paths at some point, probably, because I was living in London for 2012 through 2013.
Wow.
Symbol for Unilever.
Oh, wow.
And so walked by each other.
This is the thing. Like we think the world is big, but then it's very small. Unilever is one of our partners in our focus at Luminary around recovery for the She Session. So I'm sure after this, we can have a whole kind of conversation around everyone we know and those connections. But, kind of back to what number 7 stands for, right? And we know the statistics, that amazing, incredible campaign that you launched this week, Unstoppable Together, highlighted all of the bad, right? And the new numbers that just came out is that's actually 5.2 million women in the workforce have dropped out or have been displaced since last year. And many of them, if you read into the statistics, 2.1 million of those aren't even able or will be looking for a job in the near future because of the responsibilities and complexities that have been placed on them. The opportunity that number 7 has right now to really bring to light to everybody, to every home in America, how we solve this problem, how do we recover? It's a huge problem. You're one brand, right? Working with others, but where do you think sort of that we take this? Where does number 7 take this? Where do you take this forward to really say, we launched this campaign, where's the impact?
Yeah. I mean, it starts with starting the conversation, because there's still quite a lot of people that don't know the magnitude of the She Session, what's going on. And to your point, like the stats are getting worse. In December alone, every single job in the US that was lost by women. And so, what we're trying to do is start that conversation and start this movement, galvanizing people around this issue and around providing solutions. And so we launched this brand film that you just saw. The intention of that was to raise awareness of the She Session, but also to give people this sense of, let's rally together. Like, women are resilient. We can do this. Let's, band together and help each other. And we're launching the number 7 Unstoppable Together Job Summit on February 24th, which will be a job summit that is virtual and free and open to anyone. And we'll have really iconic speakers, everyone from Ariana Huffington, who is our headliner, to Maria Shriver, and Kate Walsh, and Tamara Hall, who will talk about ageism, to Eve Radisky. She'll talk about, exactly what you're referencing, which is women have sometimes been forced to leave the workforce because there's no childcare options, and women are still kind of the primary caregiver, and those expectations are there. And so Eve will talk about balancing work and parenting, or having conversations with your spouse in order to have that balance between you. And so just a huge range of topics will be covered with really great speakers. And our hope is that will start to make meaningful change in people's lives, providing not only the inspiration, these amazing women, and also the partners that are helping us put this summit together. We've got Hello Sunshine, the Female Quotient, we've got Fortune, and I got to give a shout out to Berlin Cameron, who is the agency that is our lead agency, created the video for us, helped us put the summit together. So our hope is you walk out of this summit feeling that inspiration, but you also walk out with really practical tips and resources, because we're also going to have the Mom Project there and talking about networking and interviewing, how to sort of shape your story if you've been out of work for a long time. And the coaching will continue even outside of the job summit. So this is a start. It inspires people and brands to join us in this movement and start, not only creating a conversation, but going to action.
Incredible. I mean, shameless, selfish plug, Luminary, as we've been doing this now for more than 9 months, at some point we'd love to get involved. I think we have a huge audience is is ripe for this, and certainly that wants to help as well, and the companies that we work with. But Eve,
yeah, the work you guys are doing is incredible, and I've seen your conversations on the She Session, and we would love to partner.
Amazing. Well, just talking about Eve, I think Eve is amazing. Fair Play, her book is amazing, and I don't have children, but what I've been preaching. We had Eve speak last summer, kind of right at the beginning of this, and it's even if you're not a mom and you listen to whether it's Eve or the Mom Project, so much of what relationships in your marriage, whatever that is, in addition to being a working parent. And that's one of the things I love about Eve and Fair Play and what she talks about. But at the core is really understanding. And I love, I'll talk Reshma Saljani and the Marshall Plan for Moms. To what you're saying, we are really galvanizing together to create change, but it can't just be women.
Yeah.
Right?
You're 100% right. And it is, there are many men that want to be part of the solution as well. And like I said, the Job Summit's open to anyone, so it's not exclusively to women. Men are more than women. But yeah, we got to get men in on the conversation as well.
How important, kind of going back to your career, because you have you're a senior, you're an executive, you're a senior leader, you're also a woman of color. How important has mentoring, sponsorship, not just from women, but men, been in your career? Because that's the other thing that we hear at Luminary and with our partners is there still is this great divide around access to mentorship and sponsorship.
It is so, so critical. I wouldn't be where I am today without the mentorship of both men and women in my career. And so, starting with my first boss out of college at Gray, promoted me long before I expected it. I didn't ask for it. I didn't expect it. She promoted me. I've had male bosses who recognize me. And, I'm still in touch with many of those people today. And I call them at various points in my career, whether I'm trying to make a decision or I'm struggling with something. And, I think it starts with, honestly, confidence. And that confidence when you're young in your career is built by other people supporting you. And once you build that confidence, you're able to then feel more comfortable asking for mentorship or giving mentorship to others as well. But there's a lot of networks out there, a lot of people looking to help. And even since the recession started and the pandemic started, I've seen people posting on LinkedIn who I don't even know say, I've been out of a job for 7 months looking, I'm really struggling. And there's thousands of responses on there. People don't even know this person. Saying, I'm here to help. What do you need? What can I do? So it takes some guts and it takes some confidence to be vulnerable like that and put yourself out there. But if you do, the mentorship is there. Whether it's directly people you know and work with, or whether it's a total stranger that you connect with and is willing to help.
Yeah, I love that, and I think we are seeing that more and more. And I think there are a great group of men that are out there. I happen to have a similar story where I had amazing in the finance world. It was mainly men, but men, and that they still are my sponsors and mentors, and I still call on them. And I wouldn't be where I was in banking or even now if I didn't have them. But one of the things that when you lose your job, you have to take a step back. You're overwhelmed, right? We're all overwhelmed, and everybody has different responsibilities. Is that issue in confidence, right? You've now been fired, or you've had to leave your job, or you've had to go to your boss and say, I just can't do it all. I need to take a back seat. Your confidence takes such a hit.
Yeah. So
when you think about confidence, it's so important. How do we help rebuild the confidence in our women? I see your ad, the campaign and the video as a rebuild, right? It starts sad, and then at the end you're like, wow, we have a new vice president who's not only a woman, she's Black and she's South Asian. You showed in there the Women's March, right? Galvanizing efforts, but some of that is skipped so personal, and you get into your whole, it's just me.
Yeah. Yeah, there is this meme that I absolutely love, and it is of a tiny little kitten looking at a puddle of water, and what it sees back in the reflection is this giant full-grown tiger. And I absolutely love that meme because it represents confidence, right? Like you look and you see that you can be bigger than and better than you are today. And the best thing that I think we all can do is surround ourselves with people who lift our confidence. Whether that, for me, my family is incredible. My best friends, I have this close, tight knit group of best friends from business that I lean on all the time, what I'm going through. And then professionally, I'm very lucky that I have these mentors I've built over the course of my life. I've got, coworkers even currently who are peers of mine, and we all sort of commiserate together or celebrate together. So just finding your people and asking for the mentorship or providing it to someone else who is more junior than you, or not even more junior. I think mentorship. I sometimes draw inspiration from people who are 10 years younger.
Yes.
Find your people, and they're out there.
And there's so much about peer mentorship and then reverse mentoring, right? To your point. I mean, yeah. I'm in my 40s. I have a number of staff members in their 20s. I learn so much from them every day, not just about social media, but just what's important to them as a consumer, what's driving them. And it's very different as a Gen Xer of what I started my career out being driven by.
Yeah, I mean, the younger generations have such insight and such a different way of thinking about things. I learn stuff every day.
So we'll talk about call to action for individuals, but call to action. So you are a company, a brand, standing up for women right now and saying we've got to make a change. What are the things that other companies, right? You're one company. What would you tell them if they said, Anisha, I'm the CMO at X or I'm the CFO? What else can we do to help women?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, join this movement, number one, join us in raising this issue, drawing awareness of it. Like I said, most people still don't know the She Session is even happening. And being leaders in standing up for women. This issue could set back the progress that we've made on things like gender pay gap decades, and it's really important that other brands, other companies, other leaders, people with influence stand up and say, let's do something about this. And there's lots of, we're in a moment in our history with Black Lives Matter and the pay gap. And there's a lot going on right now. And I think it's our responsibility as brands and as leaders to stand up and start the conversation. And then whatever we can do to provide the resources that help, putting our money where our mouth is, walking the talk, all those things. That's what we're trying to do, number 7. And that's what I encourage us to do.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I was reading, obviously, given what I do every day, this is so important and how we show up for our community of women and men, because we're not exclusive, and there are so many good men and male allies, that by the end of this year, the pay gap will increase an additional 5%. Right?
Yeah.
We're already, 20 cents, 80 cents on the dollar of what a man makes, and less, and even worse for women of color. We have not had this low rate of women in the workforce or looking for work since 1988.
Yeah.
How we have come so far, and we have made such great changes, and the momentum, and obviously looking at our new vice president, it's there. But if we don't collectively, I wrote today on LinkedIn earlier, the She Session is not a buzzword. Thank God for C. Nicole Mason for coining the term and bringing it to light. And we're on an event with her in a few weeks. But this is a full-blown crisis. We cannot not pay attention to this.
100%. And, that back in 1988, it took a decade or more to recover, to get women back to where they were before, so it is absolutely a crisis. And, Shelley Zales from the Female Quotient was quoting a Davos stat, I think. I think it was like, it's going to take 200 years in order for women to actually be at parity. Yeah, and this has now set us back. So it's a super critical issue, and probably the biggest issue women are facing in this moment in time in the U.S.
Decades back. So I know we only have a minute or two left. I want to One, can you tell us where people can learn more about this job summit? That would be great.
Yes, so you can go to our website. It's number7beauty.com/unstoppable. And there you can find out more details about the summit, who the speakers are, what the topics are, and you can also sign up, which is simple. Enter your email address, and you'll be on our list. And as we get closer, we'll send out, details for how to log in.
And we, number one is, if you didn't see the video, you can find that very easily right on the number 7 Instagram as well.
And on the website as well. You can share.
Yes. But the other thing is we've got it on Luminary Social, right? This is something that needs to be shared over and over and over again to really drive the CTA around movement, the summit, etc. And I think it's wonderful. There's a comment in there. This is a constant dialogue that we need to continue to have. More women in positions where decisions are made. And you're a great example of this, right? You're in a leadership position. You can actually create real change, influence others, and drive not just awareness, right? Engagement and action.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I have wonderful leaders that I work for as well. At Walgreens Boots Alliance, we have both male and female leaders at the top, and they were all behind this. So I'm very blessed for all the people that have been involved in this movement and creating this moment for number 7. We have an incredible team that's worked very hard and is very, very passionate about this. And so yeah, it is just really inspirational to me to see the rallying that we've already got. And to your point, we need more. We need this. Share that video, get people talking. Like I said, it's on our website, it's on Luminary's channels, it's on our channels,
Berlin Cameron's channels.
Berlin Cameron's channels, yeah.
Everyone's channels, right? This is our time to. There was a time in 2016, right after the Women's March, just rallying together. I think it's now so much more important when you look at the statistics where rally together and let's do something about it. And this conversation has to happen every single day. A bunch of comments in there, 100%. We've got to keep going. So Anisha, we have an event in a few weeks, so I'm excited to have that with you and Nicole C. Mason, as well as Jen De Silva, who's the president of Berlin Cameron. We love them. They're a great partner of ours as well. And we're looking forward.
Love you, Jen. Shout out.
We're looking forward to supporting you and number 7 and this campaign and the job summit, and just thank you for what you're doing. This is it doesn't have to be a crisis. We can change this and really move into recovery mode.
Well, thank you as well. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for supporting this and helping drive that conversation and getting the word out. And everybody mark your calendars for February 24th. Like I said, anyone is welcome. And we look forward to a great discussion that day.
Great. And everyone, thank you for tuning in. For Luminary members, you will also have this in the digital content library. We're going to put this out on social later, so those of you that missed it, so stay tuned to our LinkedIn, my LinkedIn, and we'll get it over to Anisha and the team, as well as Jen at Berlin Cameron. And please stay safe, stay healthy, wear a mask. And Anisha, thank you again. Have a great weekend, and we will see you soon.
Thank you so much, Cate.
Bye-bye, everyone.